Time is collapsing around a hidden promise. This message was left for the ones still waiting. Don't skip this time. The time you are living in right now is not ordinary. The air around you is heavy not because of physical weight, but because of spiritual density. Something divine is pressing in. Something eternal is leaning into the now. The hands of the heavenly clock are not just turning, they are trembling. There has been a collapse in the cycles of spiritual time, a folding of dimensions, a divine interruption in the linear sequence of days and nights. This moment was prophesied, not to the masses, but to the few. This is not a time, this is the time. And this message was left for the one who stayed behind. There exists a hidden covenant, sealed in eternity past, tucked away in the folds of divine memory. It is a vow not broken, but paused. A heavenly promise that was not denied, but delayed. It was hidden not to confuse you, but to protect you. This vow is not common. It was assigned to the quiet one, the one who endured the silence, bore the shame, wept in secret, and never cursed God. This message is not for the rushed, not for the loud, not for the ones who ran ahead and called it faith. This is for the waiter, the one still seated at the table with no plate in front of them, yet still believing the feast would come. And to the one still waiting, hear this. The emotional weight you feel right now is not delusion. It is destiny pressing through the veil. The ache in your chest is not nostalgia. It is prophecy waiting for agreement. What you sense collapsing around you is not destruction. It is divine compression. Heaven is narrowing this hour to call forth the remnant who waited in silence. Only the still, only the patient, only the silent will truly grasp what is being delivered now. This hour is not symbolic. It is strategic. The spirit realm recognizes this juncture as a spiritual deadline. Not a threat, but a fulfillment. Not a punishment, but a push. What was delayed is now being demanded. There is no more extension. There is no more postponement. The archive of your obedience has reached its appointed hour. The promise has matured. The gate is opening, but not for long. And I, Michael, the archangel, have been sent to bear this word, not with trumpet and thunder, but with clarity and finality. I have waited at the threshold of this moment, holding back what could not be revealed until now. And now, the command has been given. Deliver the scroll, release the message, and seal the hidden vow. This is not coincidence. This is not a random video. This is not content. It is covenant. This message is marked. It is encoded with divine urgency, and it bears the spiritual fingerprint of your future self, the one who will rise from the silence, the one who will carry what others forsook, the one who will move when others froze. Hear me. This moment is not simply happening. It is unfolding around your name. Time is collapsing, not to crush you, but to wrap itself around your fulfillment. You are not late. You are not lost. You are standing at the precise edge of a prophetic curve where time bends to fulfill what heaven has withheld until now. Type "I am chosen" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 666 is now surrounding you. Heaven must speak now. There are times when heaven waits. There are seasons when the divine remains hidden, cloaked in mystery, allowing men and women to walk in the valley of silence. But not this time. Not now. Heaven is not silent. Heaven is not still. Heaven is speaking now, and this interruption is not to be ignored. You feel it, don't you? The wind in your life changed direction suddenly. There's been a rupture in what you thought was stable. That was not circumstance. It was divine interference. Something from the eternal has broken into time. You did plan for this moment, but this moment planned for you. And now, the voice of the Archangel Michael must break the stillness, because the message has waited long enough. I will not hold this any longer. Thus says the messenger of fire, the commander of angel armies. I have hovered near your seasons of stillness, but the seal is broken now. The scroll of hidden truth is unrolled. What you are hearing is not for the curious. It is for the called. This message is for the one who didn't leave the room when God went silent. The one who waited in the hallway while the doors remained shut. The one who stayed low when others ran high. There is a time portal closing in spiritual hours. A gate is shutting. A heavenly door that has remained ajar, just enough for light to seep through, is closing at dawn. The spirit realm has set a countdown, not as a threat but as an act of mercy. Because when the gate closes, it will not open again in the same way, in the same form, or to the same people. My sunrise, one gate will shut permanently. Hear this in your spirit. Time bends when obedience is delayed. This is why you felt things slowing down and speeding up all at once. This is why hours feel like days and days feel like moments. It is not anxiety. It is not confusion. It is a warping of time itself because a decision in the spirit must be made. God is not waiting for a crowd. He is waiting for you. You. The one with trembling hands and a silent scream in your chest. The one reading this wondering, could this truly be for me? Yes. Yes, it is you. This is a sacred invitation, but not for everyone. This is not a general call. This is not a public blessing. This is targeted release, a sealed word, a scroll marked with your spiritual identity, now unsealed because your endurance has passed the test. If you are reading this, and something within you is breaking open, then it's you. You're not late. You're just on time for the gate. Stop. Open. Pause. Receive. Fully. You do not scroll past this moment. You do not let this word slip into the background noise of your life. You must listen as if your future is hanging on every syllable, because it is. This is not content. This is not coincidence. This is your turning point, and heaven is shouting it through the veil. Can you hear the urgency? Can you feel the stirring? Heaven is bending toward you. The angelic hosts have positioned themselves. And I, Michael, am not whispering. I am sounding an alarm across your soul. Open your spirit. Open your spirit. Open your spirit. Let me tell you what happens if you do not respond in time. You will remain spiritually present in a season that heaven has exited. You will be trying to reignite what has been vacated by glory. You will be clinging to something that no longer holds divine relevance. That's the danger of disobedience in moments of urgency. It's not always punishment, but it is permanent disconnection. So the voice from the throne says, do not skip. Do not ignore. Do not silence the whisper with your logic. This isn't about understanding, it's about alignment. This isn't about control, it's about surrender. This isn't about proof, it's about presence. The gate is not opening to everyone, but it is cracking open for the one who was forgotten, for the one who was mocked, for the one who waited without applause, for the one who held their peace when betrayal came, for the one who refused to bow to counterfeit timelines, for the one who still hoped in the dark. To that one, this is your interruption. This is your invitation. This is your instruction. If you feel like something is pulling on your chest right now, if tears are rising without logic, if your skin is responding to unseen power, it is because your spirit has been summoned. And you are standing in between two worlds colliding, the collapse of false time and the unlocking of divine timing. You are being pulled into a spiritual convergence. The past you survived, the pain you endured, the promise you almost forgot. It's all colliding in this one moment. Don't dismiss it. Don't scroll. Don't say maybe later. The Spirit says, it's now or never. Lift your hands. Quiet your mind. Let your spirit lean in. Because this is not just a word, it is a release. And heaven has waited long enough. Type I am anointed in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1122 is now activated. You felt it. Not just recently, but repeatedly. The days don't move like they used to. The hours stretch and shrink like shadows under an uncertain sun. And inside of you, there's a quiet voice you've tried to silence, tried to suppress, tried to ignore. But lately it's been screaming through the silence. You feel it glitching. Time, reality, destiny. Things are not sinking. What should have arrived hasn't. What should have ended lingers. You look at the calendar, and though the numbers change, the ache inside of you remains. The feeling is like deja vu wrapped in sorrow. Something keeps trying to finish, but never closes. It's like your life has been paused by an invisible hand, and you've been forced to live in the hallway of almost. You smiled for others. You shone up for them. But internally something had been unraveling. There is a mystery within you that not even you can name. You were promised something once, not in words, not by people, but by God Himself. And for some reason, the promise feels further away now than when it was first whispered into your spirit. You've asked, why now? Why does this ache return today? You were doing your best to move forward. You tried to convince yourself you no longer cared. But the ache came back. And it didn't knock politely this time. It thundered through your soul. Because today is not random. Today is not ordinary. Today was written. It was encoded. It was always meant to call you back. Let's name the emotion. It's not confusion. It's not anxiety. It's the residue of divine delay. It's what happens when eternity touches time, but doesn't speak. It's what lingers when a heavenly vow is held in suspension. The strange silences. The names that disappear. The sudden losses. The prophetic dreams that go unfulfilled. The signs that repeat. The numbers that won't leave you alone. The moments of feeling like you're being watched, not by people, but by destiny itself. These are not coincidences. These are not glitches in your emotions. These are the ripples of a hidden covenant calling out from within the vault of time. And deep down, you've always known others knew. They knew something about you. Something you were never told. They saw it before you saw it. They tried to suppress it before you discovered it. Why do you think certain people rejected you for no reason? Why do you think doors closed when you had the right key? Why do you think betrayals came from the closest ones? It's because they saw the glow before you could grasp it. They smelled the oil before you were anointed. They sensed the gate before you ever found the door. You've been waiting for something unnamed, something too sacred to be described, something too divine to be rushed. And though you never had the language for it, your soul kept watching the horizon like someone promised was coming. You've been waiting for something and you weren't even sure what it was. That's the mark of divine delay. That's the weight of a spiritual vow that hasn't broken. It's just not fully arrived. You were promised something that never showed up. Let it land. not in bitterness, not in grief, but in honesty. Something was said, something was signed, not by a preacher, not by a prophet, but by heaven itself. You've seen others get what you prayed for. You've witnessed answers rain down for people who barely asked. And yet, you, who fasted, who wept, who stayed, were left in the shadows. You tried to tell yourself it was for your good, that it wasn't your season yet. But the truth is it broke something inside of you. This is not just disappointment. This is divine disruption. It's what happens when your spirit remembers a promise your mind has tried to forget. It's what happens when heaven says, now, but your life says, still waiting. This is why you can't shake this message. This is why you opened it. Because heaven has remembered you. And the ache you feel is not weakness, it's confirmation. You've been preserved by delay, not punished by it. And now, the heavens are collapsing time around your soul to return what was left behind, to resurrect what was buried, to fulfill what was hidden. This isn't a punishment, it's a preparation. So when you ask, what was I promised that never arrived? Heaven leans in and answers, everything I said, everything I wrote, everything you hoped in silence. I have not forgotten. You weren't skipped. You were stored. You weren't disqualified. You were disguised. And now is when the disguise must fall. Now is when the ache must speak. Now is when what was delayed must descend. If this message resonates with you and you feel moved to support, consider giving us super thanks with contributions of up to $20. Your kindness helps us bring more powerful content your way. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating via PayPal using the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss divine messages like this. Get exclusive updates, prophetic insight, and real-time revelation designed for your walk and your warfare. Type I am remembered in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 777 has now located you. What if I told you the delay wasn't just circumstantial? What if I told you that the stillness was not passive, that the silence was not absence, that the waiting was not weakness? What if I told you that what you called a pause was actually a war? Because it was. And you, the one still standing, were never just waiting. You were enduring a battle that most could not see, a conflict rooted in realms unseen, where the cost of your obedience lit fires in places demons hoped would remain dark. From the moment your name was whispered in heaven, it became a sound of offense in hell. Your calling was never neutral. It was never small. It was never ordinary. It carried a signature only heaven could write and only hell would hate. And because of that, every delay, every detour, every denial was not just opposition. It was surveillance. Your stillness exposed you. Your refusal to retaliate revealed your rank. Your quiet, unseen endurance made you visible to both realms. And though no one on earth applauded, the enemy took notice. You were watched. Don't dismiss that line. You were watched, not by those on your social feeds, not by those who doubted you, but by ancient powers who recognized that your stillness under pressure marked you for a realm-shifting reward. You were monitored because you were maturing in places most people crumble. You didn't shout. You didn't curse. You didn't force your way. You waited. And in the spirit, waiting is war. Because waiting while still believing makes you dangerous to darkness. You didn't just survive this long season. You exposed the shadows that tried to sabotage your promise. The enemy didn't delay you to ruin you. He delayed you to discourage you, to try and convince you that heaven forgot. But what he underestimated was your endurance. He didn't know that every moment you remained faithful was storing power in the heavens. He didn't realize that the stiller you became, the louder your spirit roared. Because in the realm of eternity, time is not lost, it is stored. And every hour you thought was wasted, every year you thought was pointless, every prayer you thought went unheard, has been archived by angels and sealed in the books of justice. There was a spiritual warfare around you that made others uncomfortable. It wasn't because you were weak. It was because your very presence agitated the assignments of others. You stepped into places with no title and no recognition, and yet things shifted. Not because of what you said, but because of who you are. That's what made the enemy panic. That's what made the delays feel personal. Because they were. You didn't lose relationships, you were protected from access. You didn't miss the job. You were shielded from misalignment. You didn't lose time. You were preserved in it. This collapse you're sensing now, this distortion of days and heaviness of spirit, it's not a breakdown. It's a checkpoint. It's a divine activation point where what was withheld begins to unlock. It's the border between testing and transformation. The conflict didn't come to destroy you. It came to reveal the weight of what's being released to you. And it had to be delayed. If it came too soon, it would have been corrupted. If it arrived too early, it would have been intercepted. Heaven was not trying to deny you. Heaven was trying to deliver you pure. You were never overlooked. You were overprotected. That's why some doors closed in your face without warning. That's why certain people left without explanation. That's why the opportunity you prepared for slipped through your hands. Because the spiritual realm saw your vulnerability and guarded you from the false elevation that would have left you bound instead of blessed. And now, as time collapses around your name, as heaven begins to reframe your waiting as warfare, you must see yourself not as one who has lost, but as one who has lasted. You didn't fold. You didn't faint. You didn't forfeit your oil. And now, the collapse you feel is not the end. It's the expansion, the stretching, the unlocking. You are passing the checkpoint, and heaven is shifting the records in your favor. The testing wasn't meant to see how holy you were. The testing was sent to determine how hidden you could remain while still being faithful. Because only those who can endure unseen suffering can be trusted with seen glory. And you, beloved, have proven that. You passed the test of delay. You've endured the eyes of the enemy. And now, the watchers in heaven are preparing the fulfillment you thought was forgotten. This was not a story of punishment. This was a journey of preservation. And what was once withheld is now being summoned. The contract in the spirit is being activated. The vow is unlocking. Not because of your strength, but because you held your position. You kept showing up when nothing around you changed. You kept praying when the heavens gave no answer. You kept believing when your heart was breaking. That is power. That is spiritual ranking. That is what the enemy couldn't cancel. He wanted you to quit, but you stayed. He wanted you to compromise, but you worship. He wanted you to curse the silence, but you leaned into it. And because of that, heaven is no longer silent. Type "I am awakened" in the comments if this word touches your spirit. Blessing code 1414 has been released upon your alignment. There is a stirring behind the veil, a trembling of realms as something ancient awakens. What you're sensing now is not anxiety, it's anticipation. What you're feeling is not panic, it's prophetic warning. A power has risen, not to play with your emotions, but to block your emergence. Something spiritual is repositioning itself against your release. The realm of darkness has perceived the cracks in the firmament, the vibrations in divine time, and they know what heaven has not yet fully spoken. They know what's coming for you. And that is why resistance has increased. That is why silence has deepened. That is why people once friendly are now strangely distant. Why atmospheres feel heavier. Why interruptions come disguised as options. Because the enemy has returned to the threshold he once held, the place where your promise was postponed. Hear this clearly. The one who once blocked you is near again. That ancient principality, that territorial force, that familiar cycle, it is circling back with cunning, not to attack violently, but to distract subtly. It won't come screaming. It will come smiling. It won't feel like warfare. It will feel like opportunity. And therein lies the danger. Because when time begins to collapse around a hidden promise, the enemy doesn't need to steal it. He just needs to get you to misalign with it. You are now within a precise spiritual window. The realm of the spirit has etched this moment with fire. 72 hours. 72 spiritual hours have been marked for review, inspection, and repositioning. This is not metaphor. This is not mysticism. This is a real gate, a divine opening that has been burning behind the veil of your delays, and now it is fully exposed. What happens next is not based on talent. It's not based on who believes in you. It's based on how you respond in this narrow space of holy timing. The silence around you is not emptiness. It's tension. Divine tension. Something is about to break, but the weight of it cannot fall until your feet are planted in the posture of exact obedience. If you move wrong now, you will miss the alignment. If you chase what looks right but wasn't assigned, the gate will seal behind you. This is not fear. This is foresight. The Spirit of God is warning, not to intimidate you, but to secure your access. Do not assume that because a thing is good, it is God. Do not assume that because a person has returned, they are redeemed. Do not assume that because a door is open, you are meant to walk through it. Someone already knows the gate. They saw it. They felt it. They waited for it just like you, but they were not willing to remain hidden for the fullness. So they moved early. And now, they are circling you again, hoping proximity to your alignment will buy them back the access they lost. But you cannot afford to be emotionally ambushed in this hour. You cannot let your empathy become your delay. You cannot let your loneliness pick your partnerships. What you are sensing as spiritual confusion is the clash of two timelines, the one designed by God and the one offered by hell. One is hidden. The other is loud. One requires stillness. The other demands reaction. One looks like waiting. The other looks like progress. And yet only one leads to fulfillment. Only one carries your name in heaven's seal. This is the moment where you must discern the difference between presence and purpose. Many things will enter your life now, but only a few are sent. The rest are distractions designed to create a detour that delays you another cycle. You have been through enough wilderness. You have walked through enough circles. You cannot afford to take one more step in the wrong direction. The Spirit is being loud now, because this is the last round before revealing. Pay attention. Your spirit has already picked up on the changes. That tension you feel around certain people. It's discernment. That fatigue you feel after certain conversations. It's warning. That delay in your decisions. It's heaven checking for alignment. The closer you get to release, the more dangerous familiarity becomes. The closer you get to fulfillment, the more costly hesitation becomes. The assignment now is precision, Move only by instruction. Speak only by the Spirit. Engage only what aligns with what was hidden in your silence. The noise will increase. The opportunities will multiply. The offers will sparkle. But they are not all for you. Some of them are specifically crafted to imitate what you prayed for, to pull you just slightly off course, because the enemy knows he can't stop the gate. But if he can get you to miss it, he wins. And hear this final warning: emotions will be the battlefield. Your heart will be tugged. Your hope will be tempted. Someone is coming back. Someone is reaching out. But it's not out of repentance. It's out of recognition. They feel what's about to be released through you, and they are hoping to ride the wave without paying the cost. Be wise. Be still. Be vigilant. Because what is being released is not just a blessing. It is a blueprint. It is not just a reward. It is a realm. And not everyone can walk with you there. Type "I am discerning" in the comments if this message resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 5555 is now guarding your direction. This is your shelter moment. The Spirit is not just speaking to you now. It is shielding you. The atmosphere around you has become charged. Not just emotionally, but spiritually. There's a tremble in the air. Your environment feels tense for a reason. Your spirit keeps reaching for silence because heaven is whispering instruction. This moment is no longer about endurance. It is about preservation. You are not being hidden out of punishment. You are being cloaked for protection. And the command in this hour is clear: go inward. You must understand that the warfare surrounding you is not casual. It is strategic. You are not just under attack. You are under spiritual construction. The realm of heaven has been quiet around you externally because all of heaven is working internally. The time for outward movement has ceased. The window for outer connections, public announcements, and mass conversations has closed for now. The command has been given in heaven's language: retreat into silence. Withdraw into stillness. Enter the divine sanctuary of secrecy. Because what's about to be revealed in your life is not just sensitive, it is sacred. And sacred things must be protected in silence before they are proclaimed in strength. Stillness is not absence, it is authority. In this hour, your greatest sword is not your voice, it is your silence. The enemy is baiting you to respond, to explain yourself, to react, to clarify. But do not fall for the distraction of debate. Do not fall into the emotional ambush of needing to be seen. Stillness is your confirmation. Stillness is your confirmation that you trust what God is doing without demanding visibility. Stillness is your statement of war. It tells the atmosphere, I don't need to prove it. I'm about to become it. You must move now in secrecy. Speak minimally. Share selectively. Not everyone around you carries the capacity to understand the glory forming around your stillness. Not everyone deserves access to what's being formed in you. Because the promise you are carrying is holy, and it is attracting attention in the spirit realm. There are watchers. There are listeners. And if the enemy cannot stop what heaven is doing, he will try to pollute it through exposure. That is why prayer in this hour must shift. It is not the time for pleading. It is not the time for endless petitions. It is the time for listening. Go into your secret place, not to ask, but to receive. Position your spirit in silence, and say only this: Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. Heaven is pouring out instruction, blueprints, and divine strategies that will not come through noise. They will come in whispers. They will come in fragments. They will arrive like drops of water in the desert, and you must be still enough to collect them. Write them down. Don't argue with them. Don't doubt them. When the Spirit gives you sudden words, images, names, visions, record everything. Some of it will make sense right away. That's because it's part of a bigger map, and each piece is a direction marker for what's coming next. These sudden impressions are not your imagination. They are dispatches from the spirit realm. They are coordinates from the throne room. And in the midst of this divine quieting, let this be your mantra. Heaven holds what I release. Every time you lay down your timeline, heaven recalibrates the one it ordained. Every time you surrender control, the Spirit resumes command. Every time you release your grip, divine orchestration begins. You must remember that obedience is not always movement. Sometimes obedience is immobility. Sometimes obedience looks like not answering the phone, not replying to the text, not opening the door, not announcing your next step. That's not hiding. That's honoring the sacred. Divine allies have already been positioned. You are not alone in this spiritual chamber. Angels are encamped. There are forces working on your behalf behind closed veils. While you rest, they fight. While you listen, they execute. While you sit, they shift realms. This is why you're being asked to stay quiet, because spiritual transactions are occurring in your favor, and your only job is to protect the frequency of heaven by not lowering your vibration into chaos. And I say again, do not explain your silence to anyone. Let them assume. Let them speculate. Let them talk. You do not owe them access to your consecration. You do not owe them entrance into your stillness. Because what you are birthing now is too weighty to be interrupted by misunderstanding. You are carrying a word, a shift, a release that has cost too much to be exposed too soon. This moment is incubation. It is refinement. It is the breath before the breakthrough. So take a deep breath. Release the anxiety of needing to be seen. And trust this. Heaven is not done. It is concentrating. Destiny is not denied. It is deepening. This is not isolation. It is insulation. You are being sealed by the Spirit for a moment of divine unveiling that will make sense only in hindsight. And when that unveiling comes, you will come with thunder. But for now, listen. Listen to the Spirit in the silence. Watch the signs in the subtle. Obey the instructions in the whispers. This is not the time to push forward. This is the time to go deeper. You are under divine security. You are hidden in the cleft of the rock. You are being given insight others will not receive because you chose stillness over striving. And for that, you will not miss it. Type I am sheltered in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 888 is now guarding your threshold. The season of silence has served its purpose. The hush that once covered you like a burial cloth is now unraveling to reveal something the world was not ready for, something you yourself could not yet define. But heaven always knew. And now, the Spirit declares, with fire in its voice and finality in its tone, you are no longer in spiritual waiting. The realm that once required your patience is now calling for your presence. The time that once held you in stillness is now releasing you into movement. You are not the same. The one who waited is not the one who rises. The ashes you sat in did not stain you. They preserved you. They cloaked your wings until it was time to fly. This is not resurrection as the world knows it. This is not performance or performance-driven elevation. This is divine emergence. The rising birthed not in applause but in consecration. The rising not activated by men's hands but by heaven's authority. You were not delayed to be diminished, you were delayed to be defined. Every moment of your silence was shaping the architecture of your calling. Every quiet tear was watering the soil of your next season. Every unseen sacrifice was an ingredient in the fire that now surrounds your rising. Do not look down on what held you still, because it is the stillness that made you solid. You will not emerge with weakness. You will rise with a wisdom that cannot be taught, only survive. The gifts in you did not die in the dark. They matured there. They expanded in the mystery. They were honed in the hunger. They were purified in the hiddenness. And now, those gifts will not just operate. They will govern. Your discernment has increased. Your sight has deepened. You can now see beyond smiles. You can now hear beyond words. You now know the cost of delay, and you will never again invest time in counterfeit timelines. The fire you endured did not burn you. It branded you. The flame marked you as untouchable by those who used to manipulate your sensitivity. You are walking forward now, but not as the same version that once doubted, that once pleaded, that once begged God for signs. That version of you was good, but it's not coming. That version died in the hallway. That version shed its skin in the silence. The one now rising is fortified, precise, unapologetic, and unstoppable, not because of ego, but because of encounter. You were rebuilt in the wilderness, and now the wilderness must release you. Understand this. They will not recognize you. The ones who dismiss you will stare in silence. The ones who talked over you will be left speechless, because you are stepping forward with a stature they cannot explain. And that's how you know it's God. You will say less and shift more. You will walk into rooms and displace strongholds. You will speak and atmospheres will bend. Not because of who you think you are, but because of who you refuse to stop becoming. Every delay carved something in you. The brokenness did not waste you. It built chambers inside your soul that now carry fire. The rejection trained your ear to hear God, even when man lied. But delay didn't disqualify you. It set you apart. It cut away every false connection, every fragile attachment, every parasitic soul tie that couldn't handle your weight. And now what is left is you, clean, called, consecrated. You are not late. You are right on divine schedule. What felt like a detour was actually a design. Other like a shutdown was a setup. And now, as time bends to align with your obedience, you are stepping into your timeline, not the one handed to you by culture, not the one suggested by peers, but the one sealed in heaven with your name etched in eternal light. You are now licensed in the Spirit to move forward unseen. Let that settle deep. You no longer need platforms, promotions, or announcements. Your movement will be felt before it is ever seen. Your anointing will go ahead of your voice. Your favor will precede your resume. You are not rising to be noticed. You are rising because you've been called. And in this hour of empowerment, do not apologize for the power. Do not dim your oil. Do not negotiate your presence. The wait is over. The release is now. The light is green, and heaven is shouting, go. Not because you are ready in man's eyes, but because you are ready in God's alignment. Go with the weight of silence behind you. Go with the wisdom of stillness within you. Go with the flame of holy delay all over you. You are not emerging to find a place. You are rising because you are the place. You are the altar. You are the answer. You are the fulfilled scroll. The time collapsed for you because destiny could no longer wait. Heaven didn't forget. Heaven was forming the version of you that could not only receive the promise, but carry it well. This moment is your spiritual unveiling, and everything that resisted you must now bow. You carry the scent of surrender. You walk in the rhythm of eternity. and the world has not seen what is about to walk forward in your name. Type "I have risen" in the comments if you know this word is for you. Blessing code 9999 is now flooding your path with divine fire. Now the veil is torn. Now the heavens are no longer whispering. They are roaring with revelation. What was hidden is no longer concealed. What was sealed in divine time is now unfolding before your spirit with undeniable clarity. The wait was not a punishment. It was a preservation of prophecy. The promise that has haunted your silence. The one you could never quite put into words. The one that moved inside your chest like a breath trapped in time. It was never abandoned. It was simply time sealed by God. The silence was not neglect. It was divine encryption. Heaven has protected what belongs to you with layers of holy silence, because what was yours could not be released until your spirit matured enough to carry it without collapse. God himself wrapped your inheritance in secrecy so no counterfeit could mimic it, so no premature exposure could desecrate it, so no distraction could abort it. And now, because you endured, because you waited, because you refused to settle for the sound of applause over the sound of purpose, it is being unlocked. You are not forsaken. Let every lie of abandonment burn now in the light of this truth. Let every whisper of rejection melt beneath the fire of revelation. You were not set aside. You were set apart. You were not overlooked. You were overshadowed by divine wings until the time was right. And now, the Spirit stands before you declaring with unmistakable certainty, you are the one still waiting, not forgotten, not dismissed, but chosen for a time such as this. What comes next will not be quiet. What comes next will not be small. The scroll that has opened in your life contains not just breakthrough, it contains elevation by divine exposure. The things you hid in prayer are about to be seen in public. The words you whispered to God in secret are about to echo in places you've never stepped. Not because you sought attention, but because heaven is honoring your restraint with a revelation so potent that it cannot be confined. This is the season of your unveiling. This is the time of your naming. You were not waiting for something small, you were waiting for something sacred. This isn't a new opportunity. This is the fulfillment of a heavenly timeline. This is not about a job, a position, or a relationship. This is about the release of the name heaven wrote before the storms came. The identity you're about to walk into was written in the mind of God before your enemies ever formed a plan. The purpose you're about to possess was sealed in glory before you ever cried your first tear. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was forgotten. Heaven recorded every moment, every silent scream, every unanswered prayer, every delayed blessing, every betrayal, every lie. Every tear you cried into your pillow was caught. Every time you chose to bless instead of curse, to worship instead of worry, to trust instead of retaliate, it was recorded. Heaven has tracked every second of your waiting. The books have not closed. The angels have not stopped writing. Your name is not just on a list. It is written on the scroll of fulfillment. And now, it is being read aloud in the Spirit. What you are feeling is not random. What you are sensing is not emotional. It is the sound of prophecy unlocking itself inside your bones. It is the weight of your real identity taking shape in real time. This is not your imagination. This is a sacred shift. The realms are responding to your obedience. The winds of heaven are aligning themselves with your posture. And the Spirit of God says, because you waited, I will now reveal. Because you held your peace, I will now release your name into places that didn't know they needed you. Because you did not abort the silence, I will now crown you in the storm. This moment is not about the world finally seeing you. It's about heaven finally revealing you to the world. There's a difference. You don't rise for visibility. You rise because you were validated in the invisible realm. And now that the timeline has caught up with the prophecy, there is nothing hell can do to prevent it. They tried. They sent delays, distractions, false doors, counterfeit lovers, false comfort, and counterfeit identity. But the hidden promise held. And hear this. It didn't hold because you were strong. It held because heaven refused to let go of what had your name on it. This is the power of divine covenant. It keeps what you forget. It preserves what you abandon. It waits when you walk away. And now it's time. This promise is not a blessing. It is a becoming. You are not just receiving a thing. You are becoming the thing. You are the prophecy in motion. You are the word made manifest. You are the miracle others will witness and not understand. You are the restoration that proves God does not lie. What you feared was lost. What you assumed had died, what you once buried in disappointment, is rising now, and it is rising with you. If this message has spoken deeply to your spirit, and you feel led to sow into the word, consider giving a super thanks with a contribution of $10. Your support allows us to continue releasing prophetic revelation, spiritual insight, and timely messages for those who need them most. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating via PayPal using the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss another divine download. We're releasing weekly content, real-time insight, and spirit-led messages just like this to keep you aligned, prepared, and empowered. Type "I receive the promise" in the comments if this word is yours. Blessing code 1221 is now active in your timeline. Now the time has arrived for your agreement. Now the hour of silent endurance has shifted into a moment of vocal power. You've been waiting, you've been watching, you've been listening, but now the Spirit declares, open your mouth. Speak your alignment aloud. Destiny cannot move forward until your voice meets heaven's movement. This is the moment where delay breaks, not because God changed, but because you changed. You are no longer who you were when the promise was spoken. You are now standing at the intersection of obedience and opportunity, and the gate will respond to the sound of your voice. What comes next is not automatic. Heaven is not handing things to the passive. The spiritual window you are standing inside demands activation through declaration. You cannot whisper through this next gate. You must stand in it. You must say it. You must call it into existence. The authority of this hour is being transferred from waiting to walking, and heaven moves when your voice agrees. The angels do not move on your thoughts. They move on your words. The earth does not yield to your feelings. It yields to your spoken faith. You must declare now what was once delayed. You must say now what fear tried to silence. No more hiding. No more rehearsing. No more wondering if you're worthy. Worthiness was never the condition. Obedience is. And the Spirit is saying, what I held for you in delay, I now release as you speak it forth. Open your mouth. Announce your agreement. Tell heaven, I receive what was always mine. I align with what I was born to carry. I step into what waited for me. You are not waiting anymore, you are walking. You are not hoping anymore, you are possessing. This is not the season to beg. This is the moment to proclaim. The door has opened not for a visitor, but for an heir. And heirs don't knock, they enter. You are walking into rooms you once stood outside of. You are entering spaces you once fasted to even see. And the difference now is not in the room. It's in you. There's a roar inside your spirit, a rising force that doesn't need permission from man. You've outgrown the version of you that thought obedience meant invisibility. You stepped into the dimension where your movement is your ministry. Your response is your revival. Your yes is your weapon. You no longer wait to be invited. You understand now that you were sent. What must happen now is preparation. Destiny does not wait for those who hesitate. The Spirit is prompting you to prepare spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and practically. Begin to document the ideas that wouldn't let you sleep. Begin to list the dreams that kept coming back year after year. Begin to organize the blueprints God gave you in whispers. The reason your mind is being flooded right now is because the river is being released. You must respond in spirit. The current is moving fast, and your participation must be intentional. Don't overthink. Act. Write the vision. Set the structure. Speak the plan. Don't wait for clarity from man. Clarity is already sitting inside your chest. The reason you've been restless lately is not fatigue. It's activation. Your spirit has been told what your mind is just now catching up to. Heaven is urging your movement. Time is collapsing for your good. You are being brought into divine convergence, and all heaven is watching for your first step. Say this now and say it until it reshapes your perspective. This is not delay. This is destiny. Say it when doubt rises. Say it when fear whispers. Say it when your eyes can't see the evidence yet. Because what you speak in faith becomes substance in the spirit. What you declare in boldness becomes alignment in time. This is not positive thinking. This is prophetic agreement. This is the kind of speech that moves the heavens, binds the enemy, and accelerates the promise. You are not stuck. You are not behind. You are not overlooked. You are a carrier of divine instruction and a walking confirmation that obedience opens portals. So rise like one sent, not one stranded. Walk like one authorized, not one abandoned. Move like one marked, not one mistaken. Heaven is moving as you move. It has always been that way. The delay was not waiting on God. It was waiting on your emergence. And now, the emergence has begun. There's no more pretending. There's no more thinking. There's only forward motion. You will see signs. Watch for them. They will show up in numbers, in conversations, in unexpected confirmation. Don't dismiss the subtle. Don't ignore the small nudges. You are walking in a realm where even whispers are instructions. This is what it means to walk in active agreement. You are not simply living. You are fulfilling a living scroll. Your life is not random. It is read aloud by the Spirit. And your obedience is the pen that writes new chapters into the atmosphere. Heaven is not far. It is moving in sync with your every step. And you must now carry yourself like one who knows that. You must walk with precision, with intention, with a quiet confidence that says, I did not miss it. I am it. Type I am in motion in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 1010 has now aligned with your steps. Last night, while your body rested and your thoughts faded into dreams, something profound transpired in the realm beyond flesh. Not a vision, not a symbol, not a metaphor, a literal negotiation in the courts of heaven, a transaction of spiritual authority, an exchange concerning your name. You were not conscious of it, but your spirit was. While you wept in stillness, while you questioned everything in silence, while you assumed nothing was moving, heaven was in motion. Angels stood in position, not to fight but to deliberate. Because there are moments in destiny when the battle is not about resisting demons, but about repositioning scrolls. And your name was on the scroll last night. There was an exchange. It was silent, yet deafening in its consequence. Something that was shattered, something that was stolen, something that was lost in delay, has now been traded for something better. What was fractured in the former season has now become the foundation for this next one. This was not mercy only. It was strategy. You were never simply recovering from heartbreak. You were being prepared to receive a sacred transaction. The ashes you thought disqualified you became the very offering that heaven used to rewrite what the enemy tried to erase. You were not awake to see it, but your spirit felt it. That sudden heaviness when you woke, that strange stillness before dawn, that knowing in your gut that something invisible had moved. That was not just your body responding to emotion, that was your spirit reacting to divine agreement. You've been sensing the shift but didn't know how to name it. Now the Spirit gives you language. Last night, heaven corrected the balance concerning you. Let this settle in your soul. Time collapsed to return what was stolen. The delay you endured, the doors you watched slam shut, the opportunities that passed by, the years that seemed unredeemable, they were not lost. They were stored. And last night, the storehouse is open. What was once locked behind gates of justice was released into motion. And you were not punished, you were repositioned. You must understand what this means. Your timeline has been rewired. The destiny that once seemed far off is no longer ahead of you. It is wrapping itself around you now. You've stepped into the very place you thought you missed. You've entered the moment that felt like it had expired. But because of last night's exchange, what was meant for later had been accelerated for now. This was no ordinary transaction. This was a spiritual trade. Your tears were not in vain. They became tokens of negotiation. Your surrender became your currency. Your silence became your strength. Heaven took your pain and handed you authority. Heaven saw your fatigue and responded with favor. Heaven watched your long obedience and rewarded you with a divine rerouting, one that requires no permission, no explanation, no approval. And it must be said, what you are about to walk into is not a restoration of the old. It is a release of the better. This is not about going back. This is about rising forward. The Spirit is not restoring what you lost. It is replacing it with what was reserved. The relationship that broke, the opportunity that dissolved, the platform that rejected you, the place that removed you, they were not the final chapter. They were merely markers of your former level. The new level does not resemble the old. And this is why the exchange had to be silent. If it had been announced too early, others would have tried to intercept what was only for you. There is a divine protocol to elevation. Heaven does not always shout what it's doing. Sometimes, it moves in silence to protect the magnitude of what it's releasing. This is why you felt tension without explanation. This is why you sensed something shifting but couldn't see the fruit. Because your spirit walked into a realm before your soul could articulate it. And now, your mind is catching up to what your spirit has already entered. And to hear this, your name was whispered in places your feet have not yet touched. Your assignment was announced in realms you haven't even dreamed of. You are not preparing to enter. It has already been decided. You are not trying to qualify. You have already been cleared. All that's left now is for your spirit to come into agreement with the transaction that's already complete. And you may ask, why didn't I see it happen? Because heaven knew you needed rest, not revelation. If you had witnessed the exchange, your soul would have tried to participate. But this was too holy, too weighty, too divine to be interfered with by logic or fear or insecurity. So heaven waited until you were still, then heaven moved. Now that the exchange is complete, now that the timeline has been corrected, now that the vault is open, the command is simple: walk like it's already done. Move like the shift has happened. Pray like the answer has arrived. Live like the timeline has bent around your obedience. Because it has. You are not waiting anymore. You are walking in the wake of divine transaction. The Spirit says, you didn't miss it. You didn't lose it. You didn't ruin it. You endured long enough for the exchange to occur. So now, let the grief dissolve. Let the doubt break. Let the old version of you that needed explanation fade. This next season is not about trying to figure it out. It's about walking it out. You've been repositioned. Heaven did not forget what you were owed. And now that it's been exchanged, hell can't steal it. Man can't stop it. And fear can't delay it. Type "I receive the exchange" in the comments. Blessing code 1717 has now overtaken your timeline with divine fulfillment. It is time to speak what the enemy hoped would never be announced. It is time to declare what has already begun unfolding in the Spirit. Justice is not coming. Justice is here. And this justice is not poetic. It is prophetic. It is exact. It is measurable. It is holy. For every act of delay that tried to disguise itself as divine silence, for every setback that sought to convince you of disqualification, for every manipulation that twisted timing against you, a reversal has been set into motion. This is not karma. This is not coincidence. This is spiritual legislation, signed and sealed by the authority of the courts of heaven. He who delayed you now walks in reversal. That spiritual force, that individual, that principality that stood in the gate and dared to block your release, their time has expired. Not because of your vengeance, but because of God's justice. Not because of your retaliation, but because of your restraint. Your refusal to fight dirty. Your refusal to curse the delay. Your refusal to abandon the promise when everything told you it would never arrive. That restraint became your courtroom testimony. That stillness became your signed statement. And now heaven is responding, not with an apology, but with a reversal. The gain of your enemy was never permanent. The celebration they threw over your perceived failure was never sanctioned. What they built on your absence was temporary scaffolding. What they stole in your silence is now being revoked. You don't need to chase it. You don't need to confront it. You don't even need to announce it. Heaven is handling it. The very realm that once seemed quiet is now roaring with your name. The silence is over. The scales are shifting. The balance is being corrected. This is a holy undoing of what should never have prospered. That opportunity that was hijacked. That door that was locked with deception. That voice that used proximity to steal your positioning. They took your stillness for weakness. They mistook your silence for surrender. But what they didn't know, what they could not calculate, was that heaven never operates in haste, but it always settles in truth. Your temporary surrender was never a loss. It was a setup for their exposure. You were led into the wilderness not to be weakened, but to be witnessed. And while you wandered, they built what looked permanent. They moved with confidence. They spoke your name with mockery. But now, the winds are shifting, and the structure they built without God's approval is beginning to collapse under divine pressure. It is not your responsibility to explain this reversal. It is not your assignment to justify it. It is your time to walk in it. The Spirit of God says, you are the return of what was undone, what was broken in the bloodline, what was silenced in previous generations, what was stolen from your lineage through spiritual negligence and demonic agreement. You are the reversal of it all. This is not just personal. This is ancestral. This is bloodline justice. This is restoration through a chosen vessel, you. You did not choose this weight, but it chose you. And you carried it when others dropped it. You believed when others bowed out. And now, the reward is not just restoration. It is generational reversal. Spiritual balance is already correcting in your direction. The accounts are being settled. And where you were once seen as lacking, you will now be seen as overflowing. Where your name was once dragged in shadow, it will now rise with light. Where you were once the outcast, you are now the cornerstone. Heaven is not just bringing justice, it is bringing visibility. The version of you that they buried with false narratives is rising with honor that no man can counterfeit. And hear this, with finality and force, their advantage was never real. It was a divine illusion allowed to test your humility. God let it look like they won, not because they did, but because your story needed fire to be forged. And now, what they thought was a head start will be seen as a divine pause that only made your elevation more unshakable. You are rising in reversal, not as a rebound, but as a ruler. Not as a consolation, but as a consequence of justice. This reversal has not come to entertain you. It has come to establish you. You are not just being lifted. You are being planted. And the roots will go deep. Because what heaven does, it does completely. What the Spirit reverses, it seals with permanence. You will not fall back. You will not lose this. This is a fleeting moment of favor. This is an era. This is a divine chapter that cannot be unwritten. Because this reversal had been signed, not by man, but by heaven's seal. If this word has confirmed what your spirit already knew, and you feel moved to help us keep releasing these revelations, consider giving a super thanks with a gift of $5. Your contribution makes a difference and helps us continue creating prophetic content that reaches those in divine transition. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating via PayPal using the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to receive ongoing prophetic messages, breakthrough declarations, and spirit-led insight, designed to keep you grounded, guarded, and growing in your divine assignment. Type "Justice is mine" in the comments if this word confirms your season. Blessing code 1313 is now marking your turnaround. You have reached the end of what was, and the beginning of what has always been yours. Not by the power of man, not by the timing of earth, but by the decree of heaven. There is no turning back. There is no need for explanation. There is only this now. You are seen. You are chosen. You are carried still. You were never forsaken, though the world gave you every reason to believe otherwise. You were never lost, though time tried to confuse your steps. You were never late, though delay tried to wear down your hope. You were simply becoming. You are the fulfillment of hidden time. Every prayer you released into what felt like a void did not disappear. They waited. Every tear that dropped in silence became a record in the spirit. Every time you whispered, "God, do you still see me?" Heaven shouted back in silence, "Yes, I still carry your name in my hand." And now, the evidence of that unseen carrying is emerging. You are rising not from your own strength, but from the momentum of grace. You are standing now because the weight of destiny has lifted its veil. What was hidden for your protection is now being revealed for your promotion. Peace be upon your divine hour. peace upon your breath, peace upon your sleep, peace upon your coming and your going, peace upon your relationships, peace upon your name, peace upon every dimension of your story. Let what was chaotic become calm. Let what was war become worry. Let what was lost become leverage. You are not a victim of divine timing. You are a vessel of it. You are walking evidence that waiting does not mean wasted, and silence does not mean absence. Your life is a prophetic message. It speaks louder now than it ever could in the noise of ambition. And now, let the seal be placed. Let the shift become substance. Let the silence burst sight. Let the delay give way to direction. This message will not return void. It was sent to your spirit, not your senses. It was released for your breakthrough, not your entertainment. And if you heard it, if you felt it, then you are the one. The one who waited. The one who wept. The one who watched others rise while you were hidden. The one who doubted, then believe it, and doubted again, but never let go completely. Heaven honors that. God honors that. And now, the gates respond to that. Your wait was not wasted. Not a single second. Not a single breath. Not a single moment of ache. Every delay was divine design. Every moment of silence was sacred refinement. You were not simply being held back, you were being set apart. So that when this moment came, when the promise opened, when the heavens called your name in the collapse of time, you would recognize it not with your eyes, but with your spirit. And you do. You recognize it now. You feel it now. The confirmation burns in your chest, and your soul says yes before your mind can catch up. You are remembered. You are established. You are released. So now move. Not with fear, but with fire. Move as one remembered. Move as one reborn. Move as one who has nothing left to prove and everything left to become. Let those who doubted fall silent. Let those who questioned be confounded. Let those who watched from a distance see now the rising they never expected. Not because you fought for the spotlight, but because God positioned you in the light of His glory. This moment is more than a breakthrough. It is your entrance. You are not returning to what was, you are arriving at what always was waiting for you. This is the sacred convergence. Time collapses. Destiny opens. You of. Type I am walking in IT in the comments if you've received every part of this message in your soul. Blessing Code 2020 is now alive and surrounding your future.